We'd like to do several things with you this afternoon. It's very warm, so we'll see if we can move through it fairly quickly. First, I'd like to basically acknowledge the work of a number of our emergency service officers the other night in the water rescue. I'll speak to that in a moment. The officers are right over here to my left. Secondly, the Mayor and I and Chief O'Neill will discuss the July 4th preparations that are now underway, and you've just witnessed the rollout of the Critical Response Command group heading out to their posts. Additionally, we are prepared to follow up the discussion of the events at Central Park yesterday with the explosive compound that detonated there. And thirdly, we'd be in a position to talk about the incident this morning involving one of our off-duty officers, what we believe was a road rage issue. And then we'll be able to also go off topic with you. We're joined here today at the press conference. I'm pleased that we have representatives from the FBI here with us also, who are an essential component of dealing with any of the major events we have in the city. July 4th, New Year's Eve are our two biggest planned events every year. This year, we believe we have the largest contingent of officers in modern times for this event because of the concerns relative to the increasing terrorist acts around the world. So we work very closely with our colleagues in the FBI, both on the detection and prevention, and God forbid if there ever were to be a circumstance that one incident did occur, would be prepared to respond very quickly. But first, let me bring up the officers. They're over to my left, your right, that were involved in a heroic action this past Friday night. You may remember the terrific storm that came through, lightning, thunder for several hours. Hudson River was just really amazing in terms of the wave action, the currents. In the best of times, the Hudson is a very dangerous river. Roughly 10 p.m. on July 1st, Friday evening, police responded to a call of a male in the Hudson River near West 132nd Street. Officers from Emergency Service Truck 2 responded, and they observed a 24-year-old male in the water approximately 60 feet off the pier. The male was clearly in distress. As I referenced, you recall there were torrential rains and heavy winds and lightning and thunder, which made this rescue even more difficult than usual along with the high tides. Detective Jason Curley removed his boots and equipment and dove into the water and swam to the male, appeared to have lost consciousness, while several of the other officers on the trucks, Police Officer Jason Ramirez and Sergeant Thomas Liso, were putting on their dry suits, the protective gear that would allow them to enter the water and assist in the rescue. Detective Curley was able to grab a hold of the male and secure him. The three officers were then able to bring the male back to the pier, where Detective Martin Duffy, who was also here, secured a rope ladder and pulled them onto the pier with a tethered line, enabling the officers to bring the victim to safety. The male was transported to St. Luke's Hospital and is recovering. Incredible heroic actions on the part of those officers on that night. Early in the week, as you recall, our chopper units assisted in the evacuation of a young child off a cruise boat that had nearly drowned in the pool on that boat. Just an example of the constant efforts on the part of our emergency service officers to help protect this city. They remain, despite the addition of a Critical Response Command, the Strategic Response Group, they remain our first line of defense. They're the most highly trained police officers in the world, cross-trained in so many areas of expertise. And as they showed in their performance on Friday night, they go where the danger is, no matter what those dangers are. So I want to take this opportunity to just compliment those officers along with the mayor for those heroic actions. And if you just stand by for a second, please. They will be available for comment interviews immediately after the closure of this press availability.
Okay, folks, what we'd like to do now is if you have any questions about 4th of July security, we'll open it up now. When we're finished with that, we'll go on to other topics, including yesterday's event in Central Park and the arrest and the incident in Brooklyn. But right now, just for 4th of July security, if you have any questions, open now. What
I'd like to do first before that is ask Chief O'Neill to give a quick synopsis of what we have out today. We believe this is the largest detail in modern times for this event, reflective of the changing world conditions, which we've been watching very closely this past week and indeed this past year. And then the mayor is going to make a couple of comments before opening it up to your questions about this event, and we can move on to off topic. Jimmy?
Good So I'm going to give you an idea of what we're doing in terms of resources and personnel. This is the largest detail that we put out in recent times, and this is for the greatest annual fireworks show in this country. The fireworks start about 9:20 p.m. and last for about half an hour. We have 5 barges out there in the East River: 37th Street, 31st Street, 28th Street, 23rd Street, and just south of the Brooklyn Bridge on Pier 15. We know there's going to be more than 1 million people that show up to enjoy this great fireworks show. That's not the only thing going on in the city, though. We have fireworks at Coney Island. We have fireworks after the Staten Island Yankee game and at Liberty State Park in New Jersey, and I think the Beach Boys are also at Coney Island. Just want to remind everybody that we have to leave fireworks to the professionals. We have over 95 teams out there, a sergeant and 5 police officers doing fireworks suppression. So if you want to play with fireworks tonight, there's a good chance that you're going to get a summons and possibly locked up. Right now, there are no specific credible threats to the celebration or to New York City. But as every year, in every big event, we have a counterterrorism overlay. And we've done that since 9/11. You're going to see CRC out there for the first time. That's part of what the turnout was this afternoon. That's our critical response command. We're also going to see SRG. They were here last year for the 4th of July. You'll see a lot of people in heavy vests, helmets, and long guns, and they can respond at a moment's notice to any incident. And the 1,257 smiling faces that you saw at the Garden graduate, they're all lucky enough to be working this great detail tonight. So they'll be doing traffic posts and moving barriers. They're mostly on the Manhattan side, but some of them are going to be in Brooklyn North. There's going to be plenty of uniform and plainclothes people out there, so you'll see a lot, and there's also a lot you won't see. ESU will be out there. The Hercules teams will be out there. We'll have the canines out there, the Vaporwake dogs, radiation detection units, helicopters, boats, canines, and mobile cameras and street checkpoints. We will be continuing our DWI enforcement, and we'll be doing that all weekend long. So leave the worrying to us. It's going to be a great event. You should see a lot of people from the NYPD out there tonight. And I'd like to thank our federal partners for all the assistance that they give us all year long. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Yeah, just to say to all my fellow New Yorkers, you can rest assured tonight that NYPD has the situation well in control. It's going to be a wonderful night. It's going to be a great celebration. Come down, enjoy it. It's very, very important to recognize that we have more manpower out than ever before. As we said, just a year ago, we didn't even have the Critical Response Command. Now they're out in force. One of the biggest graduating classes we've ever had, with that 1,257 that graduated just on Friday, now out on the streets for the 4th of July. There's a lot of reason to be really comfortable that people's safety will be protected. But definitely every citizen plays a role. So we want to make sure everyone knows NYPD will be out in force looking for drunk drivers. You see anyone who might be about to drink and drive, take the keys away, be a designated driver, do something to help out, or else the NYPD will intervene. And obviously, while you're out there tonight enjoying yourself, again, let's recognize, unfortunately, amateur fireworks can be dangerous. Let the professionals put on these amazing shows and enjoy those shows. That's the right way to do it. That's the safe way to do it. So everyone have a wonderful 4th of July, and thank you, Commissioner, Chief, everyone at the NYPD for keeping us safe tonight.
4th of July questions, any?
Chief O'Neill can give you some ballparks, number of dogs, boats, etc.
So I'm not going to go into real specific numbers, but on each and every one of the 24 entry points, you're going to see a long gun team. So you'll see people in vests, helmets, carrying rifles. There'll be over 30 dogs, and a number of them are new Vaporwake dogs. And just about every boat that we have is going to be out there on the East River in the harbor to keep everyone safe. But this is, it's about 2% bigger than last year, the detail. And last year was pretty big. And this is the largest detail we've turned out in recent years. Again, it depends on the events of the world, but it is the world has changed. So this is a standard package, and we'll add and subtract as we see necessary. Yeah. Well, all right, sure, I can talk about that. I'd love to talk about that, as a matter of fact. We spoke a little bit about it on Friday, how looking out at the almost 1,300 fresh faces, whether or not we'd want to do it again. The commissioner says he'd absolutely want to do it again. I'm pretty sure I'd want to do it again, but there's so many variables in police work. They were lucky enough to go out for 3 weeks, so this is not their first time out on patrol, and they thoroughly enjoyed that. Something that we put into effect, not this class, the last class. So they're really looking forward to tonight. I'm sure they're used to having holidays and Saturdays and Sundays off, but coming on this job, that's where it all ends. They're going to be doing traffic posts. They're going to be manning barriers. They're going to be in mostly in Manhattan, as I said before, but some of them will be in Queens, and some of them will be in Brooklyn. So, I'm looking forward to their contribution, and they're eager and ready to go. And I can't wait to see them out there.
Anybody else?
Say that again.
Based on Central Park.
No, our detail, we start planning for this detail the day on July 5th of 2015. As I said, we do change according to needs, but as of what we know so far from Central Park, our detail remains the same size it was before yesterday.
All right, folks, okay. All right, just give us a minute and we can move on to other police topics, all right? All right.
Thank you,
Mark?
gentlemen.
Mark? Can we Mark?
Okay. Carlo? Yep. Here again, yeah. Yes, sir.
All right, folks, we can open up to other questions about police events.
Over to the right there, Steve. As you're all well aware, these investigations take time. There's a process we go through. The part of the new process is that the Attorney General's office is part of the investigation and may in fact take over the investigation. So it's much, much too early. That happened, about 12 hours ago, to draw any conclusions at this time. It is a protocol that our Force Investigation Division will do a very comprehensive initial investigation. We're gathering a lot of video from the area, cameras that we're able to identify. We have talked with the officer and are cooperating fully with the Attorney General's office. But this investigation, as they always do, will take a while to move forward. Not at this stage of the game. That we are comfortable, based on the preliminary investigation, that it was an apparent road rage incident that precipitated the events. But as to what exactly occurred during those events, that's what the investigation will seek to determine.
Louder.
The officer had just finished a tour of duty, and we believe was on his way home. He did have his department service weapon with him. We believe that was the weapon that was used in the event early this morning. Okay. Again, it's too early. The investigation is still preliminary at this stage, so I won't even go there in the sense of what transpired, both to initiate as well as what occurred at the actual shooting scene. It's just too early.
The Attorney General involvement, is that requested or automatic?
No, that's automatic. The new protocol is that the Attorney General's office will come in and review and make a determination under the new guidelines promulgated by the governor. Is it their role to investigate, or will the role go back to the NYPD? So right now it would be a joint investigation until a determination is made by the Attorney General's office as to whether it falls within the framework of the guidelines that have been put together. FBI is not involved. They have no role in this at all. Okay?
Do you have an update on the explosive that teenagers stepped on?
We would hope by Wednesday of this week to have, according to Lieutenant Mark Torres, who's here, some preliminary information that the evidence that was recovered at the scene has now been removed to our labs. If I could ask the lieutenant to step up, he can give you some specifics as to how we're describing the explosive compound, and then what would be involved in the testing to try to identify what in fact was in that compound. Lieutenant Mark Torres.
Thank you, boss. So the forensic evidence that was recovered at the scene is now being processed at the police laboratory. It's going to be exploited for exactly what your question was. What was the nature of that explosive material? This is a process, it's a laboratory process. It involves spectrometers and a great deal of lab equipment. It can't be rushed. It's something that just takes time, and again, we're hoping to have results hopefully by close of business Wednesday. Yes, sir. Yeah, I think it was reported that you heard that this material was in a plastic bag. Is that your specific question? What contained it? So what we're comfortable, we look at all the evidence, the totality of the circumstances, and we try to formulate what's a likely scenario. The scenario that's speaking loudly to us is that we have somebody that made this material. I'm not going to tell you where to look, and I'm not going to tell you what I think it is, because we don't want to put ideas in people's heads. But quite frankly, we live in the information age. And there's a great deal of information available, if you know where to look for it, on how to use chemistry to create explosive materials. So what seems likely at this point is that I'd refer to them as an explosive hobbyist or an experimenter. There are people who are fascinated by this kind of things. The fascination grows around the 4th of July for obvious reasons. I believe we have somebody that made this material, and then he wanted to test it. So you can test very small amounts in your home, in your lab, or where you made it, but in order to test a larger amount, you have to go somewhere. Somewhere might be your backyard. If somebody lives in that vicinity, their backyard is Central Park. And the location that it was found and where it was placed is sort of an ideal location conducive to conducting that kind of experiment or test. Yes, ma'am.
Basically, it's too much speculation in that
Right.
whole question. Don't even go anywhere near
Right.
it. The question is basically too much speculation. First off, it's not a device. He just explained what it is. It's not a device. And all your questions are speculative, and we're not prepared to go anywhere near any of the questions that you just asked. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to wait till Wednesday. We said at the beginning we're going to wait till Wednesday and we'll have more analysis. So wait till Leak has the analysis. Wait till Wednesday.
Mr. Mayor, there's one item I can address with that, the PC.
Okay.
Ma'am, I think there's an important question that I can answer. We do not believe, based on that evidence and where it was placed and the configuration and so forth, as the commissioner said, we would not categorize this as an explosive device, number one. Number two, it was not placed there as part of an experiment to have somebody be hurt or step on it or touch it or have, not at all, absolutely not.
Two more on this one, right here and then the back.
Essentially, if the laboratory is able, and that's not 100%, if the laboratory is able to determine what specifically the material was, we will know clearly what the precursors would have been in order to make that. But beyond that, we would just know what was used to make it, but that's pretty much what we could tell you.
Last up right here.
I'm sorry. If Again, we can infer lack of intent to harm somebody, and I'm not going to go into specific details by how it was placed and what we believe would have been used to set it off. I think where you're going is, well, something that's placed to harm somebody, we would call a victim-actuated explosive device. This has none of the hallmarks of that, none whatsoever, none.
Thanks very much.
That's Lieutenant Mark Torre, T-O-R-R-E. He is the Lieutenant Commanding Officer of our bomb squad. And again, that this is still early stages of the investigation. The information that we have provided to you is preliminary, and it is subject to significant change as the investigation goes forward.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thanks, folks.
Okay, thank you all. Okay.
I'll get you in there.